What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Be Better podcast. I'm your host, Harrison Orr. I'm a mushroom lover, business owner, father, husband, online men's performance and health coach. And today I want to talk about how to raise your standard, how to get anything you want in life, how to get what you want in business, in your relationships, in your health, and get out of maybe the rut that you're in or just the level that you're in right now where you know you could do better. And so this is what I see as being like the danger zone for all of us. And unfortunately, like the danger zone is actually not rock bottom. Right? The danger zone is not like, oh shit, I'm about to be evicted, or even worse, I'm on the street. It's like the danger zone for a lot of people, because let's face it, if you are about to be evicted, if you are literally on the street, if your marriage is falling apart, if you've just been told that you've got type 2 diabetes or you've got cancer or you've got some terminal illness or anything like that, that level of rock bottom for a lot of people is enough of a punch in the face to say, like, dude, you have to freaking change right now, right? Like, it's not going to end well if you do not change right fucking now. You need to make more money. You need to look after your health. You actually need to pay your partner attention. Otherwise, they're going to leave your sorry ass. Otherwise, the bank's going to take your house. Otherwise, you're going to end up dead, and you won't get to see your kids walk down the aisle and get married. You won't get to see any of your grandkids. You won't get to live out the rest of your days because you'll be dead, right? And so if death scares you and that motivates you, then awesome. Unfortunately, it doesn't motivate a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people get to that point and just think, oh, well, maybe there's a magic pill or a supplement that'll save me. It's the medical system that needs to look after me and don't want to change. But hopefully that's not you. Anyway, the danger zone for a lot of people is just shy of that point, right? It's in that comfort zone where it's not that bad, but it's not great either. We're like sitting in that level of like mediocre where, the relationship's not the best. It's not electric. We're not amazed to see each other every single day. We're not jumping each other's bones every chance we get. We're not laughing at each other's jokes and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, we're not fighting and we're not cheating on each other, and they're not a bad person. So, we get along. We're civilized. It's like, wow, like, is that really the standard that we want to live by? And then so whether it's maybe business or finances or our health, it's like it's not as bad as it could be. As I said, it's not the end of the world, but it's not as good as it could be. And so we're in that shitty little middle ground where, for a lot of people, they would actually be better off if they got to rock bottom. They would actually be better off if their partner threatened to leave. They would actually be better off if they got the eviction notice from the bank that they had to get out of their house, or that they got that horrible news from the doctor, or something like that, because then it pushes them into change. Because if that doesn't make you change, I have no idea what would. And so for a lot of us that sit in that comfort zone, in that space where like, it's not too bad, it'd be nice to have a bit more money, it'd be nice to, have more sex or to have a better body, but, it's not that bad. Then the thing lacking in this space, I feel, is two things. One is pain, because when you're in rock bottom, it's pain that shifts a lot of people. It's not really pleasure, it's pain that they're trying to escape, because we're always moving away from and towards different things. There's always the push-pull in life. There's the pull of the desire, of the reward, of the goal, and there's the push away from the thing that we don't want, away from the pain, away from the poverty, away from the ill health, away from the loneliness, away from whatever it might be. And so when you can harness both of those, you become a really disciplined, motivated, hard individual to stop. But when we don't have either of those, because where we are right now is we're comfortable, right? We know the problems that we face on a day-to-day basis, and we're kind of pretty comfortable. We're pretty confident in handling those. But then that breeds the second thing that we're lacking in this space, and what we get complacent on, and that's standards and boundaries. And so an example I use with people is like, you look at someone that's been fit their whole life. Like I look at, a lot of people that have been very much into their health and fitness, be it athletes or, physique competitors or just general like healthy people. They have a much lower tolerance to, say, putting on body fat. So for example, they might go on holiday, or they might take some time off or from working out, or unlikely, but they might take a break for whatever reason, or they might just be a little bit more relaxed because it's Christmas, it's their holidays, it's whatever, right? And maybe they put on a few kilos, and they get home or they get back into their normal routine, and they're 2 or 3 kilos over the weight. They're like, oh shit, time to tighten it up. Okay, no more of those snacks. I got to make sure I hit my steps. I got to dial the nutrition back in. Got to get back to that, that comfort level where they're happy sitting at in terms of that physique, that health, that fitness, all that good stuff, because they have that set point. But then a lot of people that I see that haven't had that ingrained, I guess, value of health is one element to it, but they also haven't had those standards, is that set point before they realize they need to make a change is a lot higher, or a lot lower, right? In terms of they need to maybe get to, it's like 10 kilos overweight, or maybe I should start thinking about doing something about this, and then they go up a few more sizes. They put on like another 5 or another 10 kilos, and now they're 20 kilos overweight. Oh shit, maybe I should look at doing a diet or something, or maybe go to the gym, and it keeps getting delayed and delayed, right? But the higher we raise our standards, the faster we start to take action on these things. And the weight gain is just an example, but it can be with our finances, in terms of online spending on takeout foods, or all these unnecessary, splurge events, because like where that set point is. And then so you'd notice it in your bank account. Everybody has this. Everybody has this subconscious mental set point of a money that they like to see, that they're allowed to see in their bank account, which subconsciously tells them whether they are in abundance and they've got enough money, they can spend, they can buy that jacket, buy, that new supplement, or, spend on that thing that's not really necessary. It's like a gift to themselves. But much below that, or getting close to that set point number, is when they think, oh shit, I really don't have any money. Okay, I can't go out for coffee or to the cafe this weekend. I can't do any of this. I need to tighten up. Bare essentials only till we get back up to that point, right? And so, unfortunately for a lot of people, that set point is 0. And I've definitely been in that space before. That the set point is 0, and then it's literally like, well, you can't go below that because you got no freaking money. But the more you start to accumulate money, and the higher you raise those standards, then the more you can have as that set point. So that set point then becomes $1,000, and then $10,000, and then $100,000. And so even when you might feel quote unquote poor, or have to tighten up expenses, instead of it being at dangerously low of 0 where you don't have a choice, you've still got that bit of a buffer, but you'll still have that raised standards of, I won't let it go below that, because that's how I operate, and that's how I treat my health, that's how I value my health, how I value my money, how I value my relationships. In relationships, instead of letting it go 6 months without sex, maybe it's 3 months, or 2 months, or it's 1 month, or it's a week, or it's these other little markers that you decide how you value your relationship. Those intimate times, not always sexual related, but how many times you go on a date, how many times you just sit, talk, embrace each other, talk, deep connection, and things like that. And so how this came about is, I was talking with a client today, and he's in a relationship where there's always these threats going thrown around. As soon as there's this little fight, there's a threat of, fuck you, get out, and he gets kicked out, and then so I'm going to leave you, and all these things get taken completely out of proportion. And I said to him, because he's been saying this, like this has happened a few times. I've been coaching this guy for a few years, and it's happened a few times. And I said to him, where is your boundary? Because right now she is dictating everything. She is dictating whether you stay or you get kicked out. She is dictating whether you get back together or whether you're over. She is dictating all these kind of things. And she's then also putting all the blame onto you of, well, I'm not the problem. You're the one that needs to change. You're the one with the problem. You're the one that needs fixing. You're the one that needs to get better. And so I said to him, as much as she is the one saying the words, you're also enabling this, because you don't have boundaries. Right? Because then what happens if you have boundaries? What happens if you have boundaries and say, you know what? We're not going to throw these words around anymore, like divorce, like getting kicked out. We're not going to throw this stuff around and say this anymore if we don't actually mean it, because it doesn't mean anything anymore. And so with setting boundaries has to come consequences. And so if these things get said without meaning, okay, maybe I'm not going to come home. Maybe I will stay up. Maybe I will go find somewhere else to live. Maybe, you know what? You're right. Maybe this is over. Maybe that is for the best. Because when you don't have standards for yourself, and this is, obviously that was in a relationship context, but this goes for the same for your health, the same for in your business or just at work. If you don't have your own standards, everybody else will dictate your standards and your life. And we get thrown around, and believe me, I'm in that position. I was always a yes man. I'd do everything for my boss, for the people, hoping that they would like me, then they give me a raise, I'd get more money, and then I'd get better at my job and do all these things if I just pleased everybody. But what happens is we end up miserable. We end up bending to everybody else and trying to do what's right by them and not ultimately getting what we want. And it's not easy to set those boundaries, to have those standards. But I promise you, when you start to have those boundaries, because what that communicates to other people, when you have boundaries and consequences, it communicates subconsciously that you have enough self-respect and enough self-worth to value yourself even when other people may not see it. So other people might try and get you to do things that compromise on those values. I'll tell you a quick story. I used to work in a restaurant when I was doing my chefing apprenticeship, and I was just known as the health freak. Like, I would eat clean every single day, 365 days of the year. I would, we worked on the beach. It was a beautiful restaurant, so I would get to work, 90 minutes early. I'd go for a run, go for a swim in the ocean, start work, then work, the first shift, go to the gym in my break, come back, do the night shift, and then go home. And that was like my standard day working at that place. And so I was quite lean. Health has always been my number one value, and so they all thought it'd be funny to test that. And because I didn't eat sweets, didn't eat sugar, it didn't align with me. I didn't see the purpose for it. And he even offered me, like, mate, I'll give you $50, held the note in front of me, to eat this Krispy Kreme donut. To eat one Krispy Kreme donut. Keep in mind, as an apprentice, $50 is like 3 hours worth of work. And I said no. I'm like, no. Because even though it's just a donut, even though it's just a few calories, like, I would have burnt that in my run this morning. Like, it's not about the calories, but it's about compromising my values. Because you guys might get a laugh out of it. You might be down $50 if I eat it, but I'm going to go home feeling gross. Not just because I ate gluten and I ate this thing of sugar, but like emotionally, I will feel dirty because I compromised my values for somebody else, just to prove somebody else wrong, just to make some money, just to get a laugh out of other people, just to get other people to accept me or to, whatever else I might be chasing. But I'm the one that has to live with me. I'm the one that lives in my head 24/7, 365 until the day I die. And so if I'm not happy with me, if I'm not aligned, if I'm not, congruent with who I am, I'm the one that's going to be fucking miserable. I'm the one that's going to be angry at myself, and which is going to come out at other people. I'm going to be the one that is frustrated, and then consequently, especially as a nice guy, and if you don't know what I'm referring to there, check out No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover. By being a nice guy, that then gets directed at other people. We start to blame other people. We start to resent other people. We start to blame other people as the problem. And we're hoping in that case that other people will take enough responsibility for themselves, but also us, to do what's best for us. Oh, they'll make the decision to do this. Or if I'm nice enough and I say yes and I do all these things, then they won't kick me out. Then they'll stay with me. Then they'll have sex with me. They'll love me. They'll appreciate me and do all these things. And it's just not the case. Because even if you're doing all those things for someone, even if all those things work in getting someone to sleep with you, to love you, to stay with you, then you have to ask yourself, do they love me for who I am? Or do they love me for what I do for them? do they love me for who I am, or do they love me for what I do for them? Because if you have someone, and this is not an easy question to ask, if you have someone that loves you because of the money you make, because of the things you buy them, because of the convenience that you bring to their life, then they don't really like you. They don't really love you. They love the convenience that you provide them. They love the money that you provide them. And so, in that case, you are replaceable because they don't actually love you. They just love what you bring to the table. And then when you can start to identify that, it can make it a lot easier to see who is there for you in your life, who actually loves you, who actually wants the best for you. And so a good way to tell this, because naturally you can ask people and they'll maybe lie to you, tell you what you want to hear, things like that, because most people don't know how to have hard conversations or be honest. But ask yourself, when I've done things that have inconvenienced other people, when I've maybe had to take a pay cut, or I haven't bought that thing for that person that I always buy for them because maybe I was tight on cash that week, or because I didn't go out of my way to do something for them that I usually do because maybe I was tired, I was stressed, I was putting me first for a change once, or I didn't provide something that they usually expect from me because I was, again, tired, stressed, putting myself first. How did they respond? Did they get frustrated and angry at you? Did they threaten to leave? Did they threaten to take something away from you? Did they make you feel guilty or guilt trip you, make you feel like a bad person? Or were they actually worried about your health? Were they actually concerned? It's like, oh shit, no, that's okay, man. Don't worry about it. Are you okay? Fuck, dude. Don't worry about the money, dude. Don't worry about the fact that you couldn't come here, you couldn't make it, whatever, dude. Are you okay? Mentally, physically, emotionally. Do they check in like that? Because it's going to be hard, and for some people it might be eye-opening to see what people truly want, why they want you in their life. And so I've said this before, and I get some backlash from some people on this, but I don't want anyone in my life to need me. Right now, obviously, my son needs me to a certain extent because he's only 1.5 years old. I don't want my wife to need me. I don't want any of my friends to need me. I don't want any of my clients to need me. I want people to want me in their life because that tells me that I'm a part of their life because they want me there. If they needed me, then I'm there out of necessity. If my wife needs me because she can't afford to pay the bills on her own, because she doesn't want to raise a kid on her own, because she doesn't want to do any of this on her own, she needs me for that, then I'm here for a purpose. I'm not here because she wants me here. As my son gets older, eventually he'll have the choice of how much he wants me in his life. And I hope it's full on. I hope I never have to leave his life till the day I die. But if he so chooses, he doesn't have to have me in his life. But I want him to want me in his life because then I know that I am here because he values our connection. He values what I have to offer him in terms of wisdom, in terms of experience, in terms of just being a dad for him. And very similar with clients. And so I know it can be egotistical for a lot of people to want people to need them, but then they fall into that category of wanting something from you, liking, loving what you do for them, not who you are. And so because I used to be in a space of insecurity, I thought I was so freaking boring and I just didn't have any confidence, I thought that if people liked what I did for them, that they would like me and it was the same thing. But it's not. And so when you have confidence in yourself, when you have enough self-worth to set those standards, to recognize those people that love you versus what you do for them, and you enforce those standards and those boundaries, and it's not to be a dick, and keep in mind, we're not setting these up and just keeping them to ourselves and saying oh, you cross this boundary, you're out of my life, fuck you, get out. No. We set this boundary based on our values, based on our beliefs, based on in the past where we've maybe been hurt or anything beyond that has not ended very well. We set that boundary and then we communicate that to that person, to the partner, to the boss, to the people at work, to the friend, to whoever in the past has been maybe crossing or flirting with that boundary, we communicate that to them. Say, hey, I'm now starting to prioritize myself. I'm now putting myself first and respecting myself, and like I want other people to do the same. So like I'm setting up some boundaries, and this is it. And this is not a threat, but there are consequences to crossing this, because I am putting up standards that I'm going to enforce, because if I don't enforce them for my life, then nobody else will. And so if this happens, if this boundary gets crossed, I can promise you this is what will happen. That's not a threat. You can take it as a warning if you see it so, but this is what will happen, because I know my health, mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, whatever it might be, does not benefit from us going beyond that. And so that's where I've left it with him. That's where I left it with him, in setting some of those boundaries and setting some of those values and those beliefs to create his own self-worth, knowing what he's worth. Because when you know what you're worth, you won't put up with people that treat you any less. When you know what you're worth and what your, I won't say options are, but like when you know what you deserve in this life and you get anything less than that from a partner, from a boss, from a workplace, from a friend, from anything like that, you just won't stand for it. And so when you raise the standards of how you treat yourself, and then consequently how you allow other people to treat you, your life will change. So keep in mind that not everything in your life is your fault, but it's also your responsibility, because everything in your life you have either orchestrated, directly done, or you've allowed it. Obviously you haven't directly told this person to treat you a certain way, but you've allowed it. There hasn't been a consequence, there hasn't been a backlash, so it is allowed to keep on happening. So whether that's with a partner, or it's with a kid, or it's with a boss, or any one of these people, when you allow this behavior without consequence, it will happen again. Until you either correct the behavior or set those boundaries in place and say these are the consequences. And so if you're stuck in that rut, whether it's in your relationship, in your health, in your business, in your career, or anything that you're trying to grow in, and you feel like you're in that, maybe it's that comfort zone of it's not that bad, like I'd almost rather something dire straight happen to force us to change. Obviously we don't want to get to that point, but if you're in that comfort zone, raise your standards for how you treat yourself, for how you allow others to treat you, and then what you allow in your space, in your life. Because I know that will change your life when you raise those standards. So I hope that's been helpful. I'm going to wrap that up here. But like always, Be Better podcast. Don't be sorry, be better. Number one thing I want you guys to take from this is action. Take freaking action, because a mindset shift, a new tool, protocol, information, whatever, means absolutely jack shit if you don't do anything about it, if you don't change. So what I want you to do is take action on something like this. Find one standard in your life, whether it's with your health, or it's with your spending habits in your finance, or it's with your relationship, or if it's in your business. Find one standard that you're like, oh yeah, I know that could be better, but it's probably not the biggest lever, or it's not that big of an issue. Pick one and raise that standard. Maybe it's even in your appearance. You're like, oh yeah, I shave every 2 weeks. I should do it every week, but it's not that bad. Guys, I can promise you it makes a difference. Or ladies, if there's something in your health. I know my wife fucking hates having to tan, like having to fake tan in winter, but feels so much more confident, feels so much better with herself when she does it. If that's it, right? Put that little bit of effort in and see what you notice. So I want you to raise that standard. Let me know how you go as well. Drop a comment on this, what standard you picked, what you raised, and what you noticed in yourself and how other people treated you because of that. And I'm excited to hear what you experience. I'll see you guys in the next episode.